Oops. Alright, I'll turn it over. Okay, so I've been always a bit of a skeptic on these shared bike things. Well, let's just take a look at one of those bikes. I always said like they probably they're probably bad business. So first you have to put these solar panels in, which costs a bit of money, but not too much. One of this would cost you, set you back probably 100 yuan, so 10, 15 dollars. And this is a new one, right? And then you have obviously the actual bike itself. The actual bike is, I would say, somewhat slightly more expensive than one of the normal bikes, because one, you have these smart locks, and then it's actually made a bit sturdier because it has to stand up to a bunch of um, abuse. Okay, so that's one problem with them, and this one is even more problem because you can see the tires; these are not inflated. Um, this is a specially made tire for this purpose, more expensive. And if you look at the solar panel in front of it, typically you will have people that just put stickers on them, which means you end up losing, you go out of power eventually. And you can see a bunch of these cars actually falling down. Somebody has to pick them back up again. There's a one over there that's falling down as well. So um, yeah, so it's just quite expensive. So I would there's one other one falling down, and then you have to move these things around. It's not that you can just set them there and forget about them. I think there's a wind that's blowing a lot of these bikes, but you have to move the bikes to where they need to be, and some of them are already rusting. You can see like some of that is already rusting. So this one is on its way out, I would say. And I've seen people that and they stand up to a lot of abuse. It's hard to see here, but essentially, because it's not their own property, people don't treat it well, understandably. So sometimes they will just drag them, and some of these will just get bent, get damaged. Right, so it's yeah, it's very high depreciation, very high depreciation over there. Anyways, I wasn't just going to talk about the shared bikes. I was thinking even about how long this whole thing can last. I was a bit more sanguine about the whole lockdown thing. I thought, China took about 2 months, a month and a half, 2 months, let's say 2 months. Because in Wuhan, I'm not sure about Wuhan, we can check that later. But in the rest of Hubei, they have already released people from their lockdowns. But I'm not sure if that's going to be the case in Italy. We'll see. Italy is locked down since the 5th, and a lot of US schools said they will not have school until like mid-April. But I think these are optimistic. We could be looking at much longer periods of disruption. Okay, I'll pick up my coffee. All right. So we'll have a bit of cross faction between different countries, and China's already having some imported cases, and that doesn't bode well because we know this is like wildfire. Once you have a little bit of a spark, a bit of a tinder, it takes quite a bit to put them out again. It's a good thing that people are all wearing masks when they're out about, when they're in close proximity of each other. But what is the worst case scenario? I think the worst case scenario is that we're going to be stuck like this until we have a vaccine. And the vaccine is going to be, say, a year out, to be optimistic. And even if things do get better by within a couple of months, the lingering fear is going to cause a lot of reduced travel and reduced consumption, especially leisure travel. If you have to travel for business, then kind of still do, but if you're just traveling for fun, I'm not sure if I would do it. I would say for the target consumer, for especially the cruise industry, they'll probably have a whole year without meaningful income. And what else is there? About bailouts. People said that a lot of companies would get bailed out. Yeah, they might. But most of the time, bailouts happen by essentially a Chapter 11. Essentially Chapter 11. You end up... Actually, it's not even Chapter 11. You end up keeping a tiny portion of your original equity in terms of percentage. Some guy with the cash, typically the government, would come and scoop up most of the common equity, and probably they will get preferred equity as well. So yeah, the company might survive, the management will continue to get paid, the employees continue to get paid, but as shareholders, you might be all but completely wiped out. We can look at, I guess, a couple of bank bailouts that happened in 2009, 2008, and see what happened to the shareholders there. So I've seen quite a people, saying, oh, they will get bailed out. But it's not a good thing. When your company is bailed out by another entity, they're there for profit typically, and even if they're not, like the U.S. government didn't bail out Citi for profit, but the real effect is that they did made a lot of money. Anyways, close to my office. I'll think about a lot of these different dynamics, and maybe I have something useful to share later today. Bye.